fire did grow in size today since we last chatted. It's currently at about 13,500 acres, and that's conservative, and that's a growth of about 1/3 from what it was yesterday. It's likely that this fire is going to progress to the south and east. We'll continue to be vigilant. Sir?
As the fire goes south, do you imagine that it will stay on the east side of the Coast Ridge Road?
That is our supreme goal.
On Partington, the south end is very active in the upper slopes, and the concern for escape is so high that the team leader pulled out the troops at that point to regroup and come up with a better, safer plan. The fire is trying to cross and has partially crossed the road, the Partington Road itself. The rest of Partington is below where the fire is active right now. This is it's not far and it's not close, but it's close enough to perform the evacuation, and they're setting up, they're setting up for it to be a problem, so it's close. Yeah, let's just say it's close. We're also trying to put a plan together for re-entry for people who have homes in an area which has definitely burned, has definitely perhaps lost their house, but in effect, anyone who's been evacuated and there has been a clearing of the property due to the fire or due to a fire personnel saying it's clear for them to be able to go back and inspect. That plan is a very delicate plan because of the continuing danger of fire below us all along Highway 1. As part of the evacuation, as you know, some people left their homes 3 nights ago and have not been able to go back to take care of important things that they want to deal with. We will be developing what will probably be an escorted visitation tomorrow to those areas deemed safe enough. Yolanda?
Did any additional structures burn as of yesterday when you reported 60?
I'm going to say I don't think so, but I did hear that Ann Hobson's was threatened today, and I believe that they were able to hold it off. It was quite tight there, and they got heli lifts. I don't think another one went. There might have been one on Partington that I'm not sure. What's happening is we're getting names and houses and who lives there all kind of, but at this point we haven't had that kind of a precipitous change that we had the last couple of days before that.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Ford, and I'm here to make an announcement to the community on behalf of CPOA, Coast Property Owners Association. The Board of CPOA has put together a fund to help people who have been victimized by the fire and who have sustained losses. So far, we've managed in the last couple of days to get over $10,000, and those funds will be available. We're still trying to figure out how we will figure out who's going to get what. But anybody that wants to make a donation, large or small, please give me a call. You can leave a message on my phone. I was evacuated 3 days ago, but I'm checking my messages. My house is still there, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
John?
Is there a priority on this fire as opposed to all the other fires in California?
We think this is number one. What other priority do we need?
I mean, where do we stand on the list?
Okay, there's 2 priority lists here, one up north, which is essentially north of Sacramento, up in Northern California area, and we're in the Southern Geographic Area Coordination Center. We're currently number 2 in the Geographic Area Coordination Center. The number 1 fire called the, I want to say, Olive Fire over off of the Sierra or Stanislaus National Forest. That's moving towards structures as well. Probably, I think there's 1,000 or 1,500 homes. So we're prioritizing. The way that it works is we prioritize daily. We have a conference call daily, 7:30 in the morning, where those things are determined, and it's for the good of the whole in all of California. So that's very complex. Okay, good evening, folks. Once again, we're getting well established in here and starting to work together. We're starting to get more resources in, which is good. Okay, we had a reasonably good day today. We're trying to get folks into this area up in here to start moving the fire line up along the wilderness and moving towards this direction. That is a plan to go that direction here very shortly. We just got to get the equipment in. We had quite a bit of fire activity in here last night and this morning in the Parrington Ridge or Parrington Road area. And Chief Penny will talk a little bit more about what actually happened in there today. Current fire size, I don't have the new estimate. This morning it was 19,100 acres, which grew 10,000 acres yesterday.
Chief, you Here, 209 tonight says 20,600.
It only grew 1,000 acres today, so that's 1,500 acres today. Projected fire spread. For now, we're still continuing, or expecting that the fire will move towards the southeast.
We're down at Partington now. We're working with the structure protection. In this case, it's with Kim Olson, who's the structure protection leader for the south area, including Partington. And we're working with him, and we're working with the sheriff's office, and we're working with our brigade members in the community to work out a way to very carefully and safely go into Partington with some residents from Partington tomorrow to be able to get valuables from the house, straighten things out, and get out of there in a half to an hour so that we can get take care of the unfinished business from the night of the evacuation. The bakery has made an offer, and I'm not 100% sure how to take it and present it, but they would like to make sure that they can get pizza out to the firefighters, and this would be a gift to them, and we're going to work with them to make that happen. I don't know if we can get them to the firefighters in the quantities they can produce, so we may have a little bit of overflow there, so I'll talk to them about that. But basically what they want to do is say their thanks, and they will be making pizza as fast as their little oven can do it. So that's it. Do they have anything else on here?
I'm with the Carmel chapter of the Red Cross. Just letting you know that we are down here. We're going to keep coming down here just to be available if anybody has any needs. We're going to be doing damage assessment in the next couple days to get a better sense of how much support we can give to the community. But we are here, and please come to us if you need something. Thank you.
How quickly is the fire burning toward the park, toward Mount Manuel, and the weather change?
Right now, the fire is not moving that fast towards that direction up here. The wind has been pushing it the opposite direction. We expect that with the southwest flow or southerly flow, that the fire activity will pick up, but it'll be moving this direction more rapidly than it will on the flanks. So as far as actual rates of spread and whatnot, fire has a mind of its own sometimes, and I can't predict. It'll be fuel and wind driven. So.
I just want a little clarity about where at Partington it's burning. I've heard it's down to Burns Creek, but in Partington Canyon down the south-facing side.
The question is, where on Partington is the fire burning?
Where is it?
Yeah, it's burning in lots of places.
Yeah.
The pattern is it started on Partington from the very top, came over from Torrey, worked its way over the top, and now it's working its way down laterally across and into the North Partington watershed. It'll end up, for all intents and purposes, unless we get rain or somebody intervenes at a higher level than me and the IC, it'll continue to burn literally all of the material in the watershed at this point at a very steady pace.
I don't know the power is shut off because I've been seeing a bunch of trucks. They're looking at the power and they're turning it off.
All right.
Excellent.
Very good. Everybody got that? The PG&E trucks have been here and they've been turning the power off for us to protect us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
The question is a rumor of lightning strikes or lightning activity. The word that I have on that we have an incident meteorologist here, is that a 20% chance at this point. In closing, I just wanted to say thank you all for your support, and we're here to help, and we're all in this together. Good evening, folks. Today was a good day, actually, very good day. So I'd like to start out with that. Fire is currently a little over 26,000 acres or so. It only grew about 3,500 acres between yesterday and today. So that's good news. We're still roughly at 3% containment, and that's likely to stay that way because as the fire grows, and even if we start building more line, the mathematics still keep it relatively low because the fire is going to get pretty large. A lot of good things happening. We still continued with point protection down in here. That's keeping the fire away from homes and as it backs down into the communities, taking initial attack action. We've got some good activity going on in here. They're going to anchor in here, and I believe that we got the crews going down into the canyon. The plan is to come up and work our way this direction and up towards Manual Peak. That'll be going on to, tomorrow. Down in this area, we tried to get crews in down towards this area today. We've got dozers poised. We had some fire activity down in here, and it would have been extremely dangerous to have them continue down in this piece. In terms of my priorities, number one priority is obviously the community in here. Number two priority, right down in here, this is critical. Okay, this is critical because it allows us to anchor in from here, tying in and over into the Indians' fire, buttoning up this corner of the fire. I mentioned that we were number one yesterday. That was in the southern zone. We're number 2 in the state right now. So that's the only other higher priority is a fire up out of the Lake Shasta area, or Shasta Lake area. That's really threatening structures. So we're right up there on the radar screen. We should be getting resources as we need, aircraft availability and whatnot. So that's everything I know. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We are basically we're out of the black right now. We're in the green, but we're basically getting a fire working its way backwards. The not so good news is that it's getting over onto the south slope of Partington, which could put us into a position where it comes down into the canyon and fires back up.
Speaking of wilderness, what about Tassajara?
Yeah, the Tassajara area is on a 24-hour evacuation notice right now. The fire's within the 24-hour period. We generally operate on a 4-hour notification, 4 to 6 hour notification. Fire's moved within probably about 4 air miles of that, and based on the wind switch, we'd rather be safe than sorry.
Any other questions for the IC? Yeah.
The other night I thought I had a clear picture of where the Indians' fire is and how it's interfacing with this. It's not shown on that map. And
it's actually off the map. In this case, we'll get it so that you'll see where it is relative to. In actuality, what is going to develop is a very large fire encompassed by a dozer line in every possible way we can to adhere to the marble cone lines. Yes, ma'am.
When do you think we will be able to get to Top House?
Question about getting to Top House. The structure people that are there will give us the word when they feel it's safe. Right now we've been fighting up all around that area, small spots. So when it's safe, they'll let us know.
I wanted to thank the providers of the pizza. Thank you very much. It's well needed. There's another way to help wildland firefighters that come from all across the country, and that's through an organization called Wildland Firefighters Foundation. They provide assistance to injured firefighters and their families throughout the country, and have been helpful to me personally, and also to a lot of my friends and families out there across the country. So it's a very good organization that is really a nice way. Wildland Firefighter Foundations, and I can get some information and whatnot on that. So that really helps wildland firefighters from everywhere. Good evening, folks. Had a good day today. Yeah, it was. The fire is still getting bigger. It's currently at 27,000 acres, plus or minus. And I expect that the fire probably got a little bit larger this afternoon, probably by 2,000 or 3,000 more acres. We won't know that until we get the infrared on it. And that's out in the middle of the, let's see, the people saw some big smoke coming up today that was up in this area, up in here. We did get dozers in last night. They start, as we call it, rattling tracks up in this corner. The plan is to bring fire down through bring the dozer line down through, and they're currently made it over a mile today, mostly uphill, and they're starting on a downhill slide here. Some great progress was made on this piece of the fire. They've got the line all the way in up here, up to Hopkins Creek or Hopkins Ridge and back up. We've got dozers that'll be coming down and tying this whole piece in. With that, I turn it over to Chief Frank Penny and for his update. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Today's been a very busy day for the community. We've moved the closure south. Those of you may be aware of it that are down that way. We moved it down to Nacimiento Ferguson. The likelihood of an evacuation of the west side is minimal, And the reason is that we're committed to keeping the fire on the east side of the highway, as we have up here very successfully. But the likelihood of fire in the areas of the homes on the east side is likely pretty much almost a guarantee. Some form, whether it's rapidly burning or slowly burning, it's going to probably burn, given what we've seen so far. Partington, we tried to have a convoy up there of the owners to try to do what we did yesterday and replicate that for those that didn't get a chance. The fire is way too active, and we were held off for that.
Well, good evening. I just wanted to thank you folks for your patience and your understanding with our road condition problems and trying to get you guys passes. As far as law enforcement's role, our main role really is evacuations, evacuation preparedness, security, and traffic. And what I mean by security is if we ask you folks to leave your residences in an evacuation, I want you to be confident that we're going to protect your homes from people ripping them off. The amount of cooperation, collaboration, and communication that goes on is tremendous. Your voices are heard.
First off, I just want to let you know that the health center is continuing to provide services out at the Malera base camp for the firefighters, and I'm really pleased to be able to say that 95% of what we're seeing is just plain old poison oak. So while they're pretty miserable, itching, at least we haven't had any serious injuries and haven't had to have anybody to the hospital. We're really proud of what you all are doing to maintain proper safety for our firefighters.
Thank you very much. And first of all, Jeannie, thank you very much for the kind words about the SPCA. That's appreciated, and we're going to pass that on to our staff. Just very quickly, in addition to the livestock, just want to make sure that you know that we do have the services for dogs and cats as well, and other animals, whatever it is you might have. You can see me this evening. My van is parked in the lot over next door here, and we have carriers and crates and that type of thing that Jeannie mentioned if you have to, if you need those for evacuation purposes. Also, if you want to evacuate with your pets to a Red Cross shelter, just a reminder that the SPCA sets up outside of all Red Cross shelters.
When you said that the fire is moving down Partington Canyon or through Partington Canyon to the northeast, okay, there was talk yesterday that you were maybe going to get a fire break in there. What happened? Did anything happen?
Okay, really this is a question about the fire tactics up on Partington today. I have not been up to Partington today. It's been pretty active, and they've asked us to give them some space to do that. But I know they've been extremely active. I've talked to a couple of the leaders from there, and they've been active all day working on individual sites as well as developing more safe zones up there. So they're doing what they can. I don't know if they've done that specific step or not, Rand, but I know that they're very concerned about the lower section below the road, and working on that all the time right now.
The question was how fast is the southern part moving and the northern part? It's highly variable. That's probably the best answer. The last couple days, one day it moved 3 or 4 miles, or 2 or 3 miles rather in one day. And the last couple days it's not progressed as much. So I'd like to give some kind of a miles per minute or something prediction, but it's all a function of temperature, relative humidity, fuels, and topography. So when those come into alignment, it moves faster, and when it doesn't, it slows down.
Heather?
Status of Tasahara today.
Status of Tasahara.
The fire still has not moved into there. We've got, that's going to be under the, I had one more announcement too, thank you. The fire is going to be under the jurisdiction of the other team right now, and they're monitoring it. It has apparently worked its way towards the major ridge just up above Tasahara right now. Did need to mention that officially the fire will be zoned tomorrow, so you may hear Basin East and Basin West. Basin East will be the piece up on top, and Basin West will be everything from Los Padres Reservoir on down around. So we'll be Basin West, and it will still be called the Basin Complex. So.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We were in the Dolan Ridge country. We were looking at to construct a line. We modified it a little bit. We're down in that. We really need to, this is a place that we feel like we have to stop this southern movement of this incident, and we decided tonight is it. We got line up at Botcher's Gap, and we came in from Los Padres Dam and came across with dozers. The other team has pretty much completed the outside. Now the folks over at Tasahara and stuff may be impacted in a few days. That's because it looks like it's probably for the next week we're going to see this movement. Just finish up on what we were doing today up at Mount Manual. That was yesterday's run. Up in here, it pushed hard on the line. They used the air tankers and the big, large helicopters, and were able to, it was quite a show that you could see from our camp. Yesterday, 100-foot flame lengths cresting at the ridge, but they were able to work and cool it down. And again, the westerly flow allows it to push, and it held right on the lines that we were there last night.
The big change, as Jim pointed out, will be that to the south, with this mandatory evacuation from down to the lime kiln, we will be having a displacement, and the closure will be hard closure for all residents as well as the public. And that'll start at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Otherwise, at this stage right now, we're basically hunkering down for what is going to be a long-term effort. I'm not sure if Jim's 1 month is as alarming to you as it was to me when we started thinking about it, but now that I've seen how the fire is going, we can definitely plan that we will be involved in fire in one level or another for several weeks to come. A closure at Partington will be a hard closure for everyone with or without a pass. At that point, the law enforcement will turn anybody back at Partington.
So I'm not totally clear on the mandatory evacuations. It sounds like that includes Esalen and the Hermitage.
It does.
Everybody on that road.
It does. Mandatory evacuation is applying to both sides of the road, continuing on down past Esalen, past all the way down to Limekiln.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me just what happened today at Partington?
What happened at Partington?
The report from the guys, it was not really active in there. They made progress, and they moved around. You know, they had some hot spots. You know, they're always doing something in there and trying to improve things. But I don't believe, unless you heard something, that the report was pretty good. Again, you look at where the smoke is, and it's going that way, and that's good.
What is happening at Degens and below? My parents are supposed to answer pretty bright.
At Degens, I'd say Degens right now is basically a total mop-up operation. Basically, the highway is holding very, very well. The plan has been to let the fire come down slowly. It's doing just what we asked it to do. I spoke tonight at the end of the operations meeting. Every night at 6, they send out the troops with a set of instructions, and the IC gets up, so they had me get up, and I just said, from the community, from our heart, we thank you. We thank all you folks here. They're just, they're just doing their job, and the participation that we're giving them, the support we're giving them, is helping a lot. It's a grueling day on that ridge and a grueling night, so they really like to have that feeling that they're being appreciated. Appreciation is a major part of this game. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, folks. Glad to be back. I was over at the other base camp last night working on a transition with another team, just to make sure that we have our... I missed you too. 52,000 acres, still 3% contained, and that's number I'm going to keep relatively constant, just because how much the fire is growing within the rest of the perimeter. If I did the math, it would really only be about 1/10 of that. So it's just a mathematical thing. The things that is important, though, in terms of containment is that where the community is threatened, those lines are holding. That's the important part right now. Okay. We've had no additional injuries to date, which is another great thing. And unfortunately, we're just under $10 million. So fighting fire is an expensive proposition to everybody. So, all these lines down around the community here pretty much stayed about the same on this fire perimeter in here. We saw quite a bit of fire activity up around Manuel Peak today. The fire is still burning in this piece. My priority is to bring this fire down and get this southern end secured. I don't know how many days that's going to take for this to all burn out. The plan is to get this done as quickly as possible so we can reopen the highway and get back to business, get people back in. I don't know the timing on that. That is a priority, and we will continue to work to do that.
As I mentioned last night, I've been here since a couple hours after the first lightning strike, and the more time I spend here, the more impressed I am with this community. You guys are fantastic. The support that you show not only the firemen but also your friends and neighbors is an example for many people to follow.
Red Cross is here to serve disaster-related needs. But one of the things that we need to do is we need to be clear that it's disaster related. If you're mandatorily evacuated, then we can provide some temporary housing. We can provide some money for clothing if you had to leave without clothing, and some money for food.
I view this, you're all honorary firefighters here. We're all in this firefight together. And the fact that you're listening, you're working with us, we're addressing your issues, working together, that's the best thing that we can do, and we really appreciate that. That's the thanks that we really like.
The fire is currently at 71,000 acres plus. This says 69,000. The fire grew today substantially. I start out in the north. That's a little bit easier to work. The fire grew up into the Porto Suelo Canyon area, moved about a mile today on its own. The fire did move down towards the Little Sur drainage. It has not crossed that drainage yet. And this is okay. This is what we wanted to have happen, to let it move slowly to the north in here. Within the community itself, the fire is down to Highway 1 down in this area. The fire came across Post Creek, and our firefighters burned out along this line between the Ventana Inn, and I'm not sure this reference at drop point 44, Frank, the exact name, but that is all burned. And the firefighting efforts saved the Ventana Inn. They were actively engaged in what he called a true firefight down in there to keep the fire out of the Ventana Inn. And the Rivers property in there. And as I mentioned the other night, the flame lengths were very substantial in that area. The fire did burn around four homes out of the 7 in here. They are safe and sound. The 4 residences in here, some very good firefighting going on around the individual homes in that particular area around Dolan Creek.
Question for Frank.
How do those of us who are elected to stay resupply our homes? Because we can't get anything through today. They turned around a generator that was headed for my place, and so we don't have any water.
The question is resupplying for folks who chose to stay within the mandatory evacuation area.
That question is a constant nagging issue for me, both because I can't solve it and because it's a very hard question to resolve, given the fact that people are staying to defend their property. The answer is that there is no easy way to do it. We're working very closely with the sheriffs inside the zone, to the deputies and the commanders who are with us on a close day-to-day basis, to work out a protocol or protocols which will work to do resupply, bring in infrastructure materials, infrastructure workers. All of those are issues.
For those who have stayed within the evacuation zone, is there a way that you can allow them to help their neighbors?
Obviously they can, but they have to get there to do it. And the getting there to do it is the rub, because that means going down to the highway or using the public access in some way, which in effect is a violation of the evacuation rules. So the answer is yes, they can, and yes, they have been, and can they do it at will or without any concern for the rules that are in effect? No, they can't do it without concern for the rules, but in point of fact, some of that has been going on and probably will continue.
You know, this firefighting, the questions that you're asking are very good, and it, as an IC and as a fire strategist, we look short-term, but we have to be careful not to just look at reading a book with a straw. If you're reading a book with a straw, looking at a very short page of this is going to be a longer event. We're looking out in terms of strategies, not just one day, not just 2 days, but 5, 7, 10, 2 weeks out. So I'm managing all those things to get it all, to have it all come together. So there is a strategy in place, and tomorrow, as I read this, is a hinge pin day, key fire day in terms of meeting the objectives up on the the western and up in the northern piece of the fire. This is really turning the corner on protection of the Palo, Colorado area, the west side, and also into the community. So these next 1 to 2 days, really key days for us, and we're going to be really focused. So with that, I really wanted to say thank you for allowing me to come into your community and allow me to address you tonight. So thank you. Okay, last night was a very busy night, and today the fire was also very busy. A lot of things going on. Current fire size is about 80,000 acres, plus or minus. We're moved to 18% containment. That's good. This area, the crews continued last night and today to continue to improve this line from the from the Los Padres Dam up across the Charlie Gulf break over to Skinner's Ridge. Okay, that's very good. If I didn't get the ladder up tonight, but the red line, this is burned from here in all the way down to within about a quarter to a half a mile from the Old Coast Highway. Last night the fire misbehaved at about 11:30, 25 to 35 mile an hour down canyon wind, pushed some fire around. However, the fire stopped short of the Old Coast Highway. This whole perimeter is secure. Okay, another good thing. This area, from here, there's still occasional smokes that pop up all the way down to the Ventana Inn. And this area, it's from Ventana Inn down to Julia Pfeiffer Burns. No debates tonight on that. It's still good. There's still a few smokes in here, but it has not moved substantially. So there are going to be some changes, and some things will remain the same. The mandatory evacuation from that checkpoint to Julia Pfeiffer Burns State Park will be lifted.
At 10 a.m., the mandatory will be lifted. The sheriff has worked with us closely. I'm going to ask him to sit down to rest his heart, because his heart has been pumping that love light out to you. Honest to God, I'm so thrilled. It's tomorrow, and there's a lot of good news to follow that.
This is not a question, it is a compliment and a comment. The first one is, I want to compliment the Incident Command Center, consisting of Forest Service Incident Commander Mike Dietrich, Big Sur Volunteer Fire Chief Frank Penny, and our Sheriff Mike Kanalakis, who have made courageous and tough decisions to first close the highway with a mandatory evacuation, and now they have made a humanitarian decision as well as a legal and strategic decision to reopen that highway on a qualified basis for responsible citizens. And so I would like to thank you three gentlemen for doing a superb job for our community.
Fireman's wife is never...
It's a fire widow, they call it. Yes.
Or fire
Not for real, forever.
Don't forget the fire husbands.
That's true.
Yeah.
And fire husbands. And
We must be proud of this man, huh?
I'm very, very proud of this man. He's done a miraculous job, given his all. I really appreciate it.
That we all do. Thank you, sir.
How much you guys